From an undisclosed location, I'm virtually present with you, ready to immerse myself in stories. It's fascinating to imagine you, perhaps with a warm drink in hand, or nestled comfortably in bed, or even commuting, as these narratives unfold. Now, let's journey back to that pivotal evening. My name is Evelyn. I'm 45, and for many years, my life felt like a hushed corridor, echoing with the ghosts of what used to be. My only son, Daniel, is 23. He inherited his father's tall, slender build, but possesses my eyes, a soft hazel, often carrying a seriousness beyond his years. Since the divorce, the house has largely been inhabited by just me and my thoughts. The rooms are immaculate, almost sterile, as if patiently awaiting a spark of life. It was a Tuesday, an evening that tasted faintly of reheated leftovers and lingering regrets. I'd just finished the dishes, the scent of citrus soap and yesterday's pot roast still clinging to the kitchen air. The television in the living room played softly, a background hum to a show I wasn't truly watching. The screen cast a cool blue light across the pale cream walls. Outside, the neighborhood was hushed, no children's laughter, just the distant passing of a car and the low drone of a lawnmower a few blocks away. Daniel had returned home a few months prior, fresh out of university. Just for a bit, Mom, he'd assured me, until I figure things out. I hadn't argued. Part of me was selfishly relieved. Another part felt a tremor of apprehension. He wasn't simply my boy anymore. He was a man, with his own world, his own unspoken thoughts, his own hushed late-night phone calls I feigned ignorance of. That night, his door was slightly ajar. I could hear the faint click of his keyboard, the low rumble of a video, and occasionally his soft chuckle. Drying my hands, I stood in the kitchen doorway, gazing towards his room, contemplating whether to knock and bid him good night. It's peculiar, isn't it? When they're small, you long for bedtime. When they're grown, you seek any excuse for a conversation. I didn't knock. Instead, I settled onto the sofa, drawing a throw blanket over my legs, and scrolled through my phone. You know how it is. One moment you're checking the weather. The next you're lost in the curated lives of others. Ecstatic couples on exotic holidays, former classmates showcasing their grandchildren, recipes you'll never attempt. Amidst this endless scroll, a message arrived. It was from Daniel. "Hey Mom," it read. "Fancy a stream chill tonight?" I froze, staring at the words, my heart skipping a beat. Stream chill. For someone my age, the online connotation of that phrase is unmistakable. It's not merely an invitation to watch a movie, it implies something more intimate, the film often a mere pretext. I'd encountered the phrase often enough, seen it in memes, even chuckled about it internally. But seeing it in a message from my own son, I actually glanced around the empty living room, as if someone might witness my reading. Initially, I thought it must be a mistake. Perhaps he'd meant to text someone else, or autocorrect had mischievously altered an innocent phrase. My fingers hovered over the screen. My pulse throbbed in my neck, a peculiar mix of mortification and something else entirely. Not desire, no, never that, but a sudden, stark realization of his maturity. He navigated a world where words held double meanings, where language was playful and daring. I felt like an outsider, a guest in his linguistic landscape. I typed and deleted 3 different responses. "Daniel, do you know what that means?" Deleted. "Are you jesting?" Deleted. Finally, I simply wrote, "Come here, we need to talk before I answer that." I hit send, trying to steady my breathing. A minute later, I heard his door creak open. His footsteps in the hallway seemed heavier than usual, perhaps amplified by my heightened nerves. He ambled into the living room in sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, his hair disheveled. He looked simultaneously so young and so utterly grown that my chest tightened. "What's up?" he asked, slumping into the armchair opposite me. I held up my phone. "You texted me." He frowned, then snorted. "Yeah, stream chill." "Wanna?" he asked, as casually as if offering a snack. I narrowed my eyes. "Daniel, you do know what stream chill usually implies, right?" For a second his face went blank, then his eyes widened and a blush crept up his neck. "Oh my God, Mom. No. He buried his face in his hands. "That's not what I meant, I swear." I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. The tension dissipated like a burst bubble. I laughed so hard my eyes watered, and after a moment he joined me, shaking his head. "Why would you text your mother that?" I managed, wiping my eyes. "I didn't even think about it," he groaned. "My friends say it all the time just to mean hanging out and watching stuff. I forgot." He paused, then looked at me with a small, shy smile. I forgot who I was texting. The room felt lighter, yet beneath that lightness there was a nascent warmth, a tenderness. It had been a long time since we'd shared such genuine laughter, not polite chuckles, not shared jokes about a TV show, but true, unbridled amusement. "Okay," I said, taking a breath. "So what did you mean?" He shifted in his chair, his expression growing serious. I thought maybe we could watch something together. It's been a while. You're always in here by yourself and I'm in my cave. Figured we could hang out, order some takeout or something." The hesitant way he spoke softened my heart further. For months I'd convinced myself he was distant, that I'd lost him to his phone, his friends, his burgeoning adult life. And here he was, reaching out, using the only language he seemed comfortable with lately. "You know," I said slowly, "you nearly gave your mother a heart attack." He smirked. "Yeah, I can see that now." Then his face grew thoughtful. "What did you think when you saw it?" I hesitated. This was where the unexpected turn of the evening truly began. Not with the text itself, but with the raw honesty I felt compelled to offer. "I thought you were joking, or that it was meant for someone else," I admitted. And then, for a very, very brief second, I realized how much time has passed since anyone asked me to do something like that, even as a jest. His eyebrows lifted slightly. "You mean like dating stuff?" I exhaled, feeling the weight of years in my chest. "Yeah, dating stuff. Intimacy, feeling desired, all those things you kids package in silly phrases now." I gave him a half smile. "Your father and I, we used to have our own code words, before everything fell apart." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, listening with an intensity he rarely displayed. There was no phone in his hand, no distraction, just his gaze fixed on me, making me feel strangely seen. "How long has it been?" he asked softly. That question cut deeper than I expected. Not because I had to count the years, but because no one had ever asked me that with such genuine concern, not as gossip, not as a joke, but as a tender inquiry. "Too long," I said quietly. "Long enough that sometimes I forget I'm still a woman, not just someone's mother or someone's ex-wife." The room grew very still. The TV's low hum was a constant, casting light on both our faces. Outside, a dog barked somewhere. I could hear the refrigerator's quiet whir in the kitchen. All these small sounds of a life unfolding. And yet, in that moment, everything narrowed to just me and my son. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said. "I didn't realize." "You're not supposed to realize," I interrupted gently. "You're my son. Your role is to live your life, not to fret about whether I'm lonely." He swallowed, looking down at his hands. "Maybe, but I do worry. I see you sitting here alone. I hear you moving around at night. I know you pretend you aren't, but I can tell when you've been crying." His voice trembled slightly. "I don't like it." A lump formed in my throat. I hadn't realized he noticed so much. I thought I'd hidden it better. "And that," he continued, "is why I texted you. Yeah, I should have thought about the phrasing." He gave a nervous laugh. "But I just wanted to be with you, to make sure you're okay." It hit me then. The invitation wasn't just to watch a movie. It was his clumsy, modern way of expressing a desire to reconnect, to bridge the growing chasm between us. Not as a child needing his mother, but as an adult choosing to sit with another adult he genuinely cared about. I leaned back on the couch, truly looking at him, the faint stubble on his jaw, the tired shadows beneath his eyes. He was a man now, with worries of his own. But in that second, I could still glimpse the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, clutching his worn teddy bear. "So," he said, breaking the silence. "What's your answer then? To stream chill?" The non-weird version, obviously. My answer in that moment surprised even me, because I could have simply said yes or no, laughed it off, kept everything superficial. Instead, something deep inside me decided it was time to stop hiding. "My answer," I said slowly, "is yes, but not just to watching a movie." He tilted his head, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean yes to actually being honest with each other. Yes to you seeing me as more than just your mom who cooks and cleans and pretends she's fine. And yes to me seeing you as more than just my little boy who needs protecting." I paused, my heart racing. "If we're going to stream chill, then I want us to really talk. About your life, about mine, about what comes next for both of us." He blinked a few times, and then a slow, genuine smile spread across his face. "That sounds kind of intense," he said, "but also really good." "Are you scared?" I teased. "A little," he admitted. "I'm terrified," I said, "but I think it's time." There was a beat of silence. Then he stood up and walked over to the couch. Instead of sitting on the opposite end as he usually did, he sat close, our shoulders almost touching. He smelled faintly of soap and the subtle cologne he wore when making an effort. I wondered who that effort had been for lately. "Okay," he said. "So what do we watch for this emotional stream chill?" I laughed softly. "Something that isn't about perfect families or perfect love. I don't think I can handle that tonight." He grabbed the remote. "Deal. How about something where everyone's a little messed up but still trying?" "Sounds familiar," I murmured. As he scrolled through the options, I felt a strange, profound shift within me. I wasn't any younger. My problems were still present: bills, loneliness, the lingering ache of a broken marriage. But sitting beside my son, knowing he saw me not merely as background noise, but as someone still worth truly knowing, something inside me began to awaken. Perhaps it seems trivial that a text message, those 3 little words, stream chill, could lead to such a profound moment, but life doesn't always announce its profound shifts loudly. Sometimes it appears as a quiet notification on your screen, posing a question you never expected to hear from someone you thought you already knew completely. The movie finally began. The opening credits rolled, bathing the room in shifting light. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, sharing a bowl of popcorn he'd insisted on making. My heart still beat a little faster than normal, but no longer from embarrassment, but from a burgeoning sense of possibility. As the story unfolded on screen, I realized ours was just beginning a new chapter too. Even if, for now, it looked like nothing more than a mother and her grown son, sitting side by side in the dim light, finally ready to truly talk. The initial scene of the film cast a gentle, fluctuating glow of pale blue and warm orange across the living room, but my awareness of it was minimal. My gaze kept drifting sideways to Daniel, observing how he settled onto the couch, a little stiff, a little uncertain, yet close enough that I could sense the warmth emanating from his arm. I couldn't recall the last time he'd sat this near. Perhaps when he was 13 or 14, before the fierce pull of teenage independence took hold. Back then, he'd lean against me during thunderstorms, his head on my shoulder, asking questions about the world he was yet to comprehend. Now, he was a grown man, and the questions were different, heavier, yet the proximity felt strangely comforting. Midway through the film, he paused it and turned to me. "Mom," he said quietly, "can I ask you something?" My breath hitched. Usually that kind of question from him heralded something serious, something veiled in hesitation and apprehension. I nodded. He looked down at his hands first, his thumb absently tracing a small scar on his knuckle, a habit from his anxious childhood. "Are you really okay? I mean, not just tonight, in general." The way he spoke, gentle, earnest, and tinged with a quiet fear of the answer, made my chest tighten. I wanted to lie, I truly did. Mothers are meant to be unwavering, a constant in their children's lives. But something in the softness of his voice made honesty feel safer than it ever had. "I'm trying," I whispered. Hearing Daniel say that reminded me I wasn't invisible, that someone still recognized me beyond my roles. I gazed at him, the boy I'd nurtured, the man he'd become, and voiced the thought I should have articulated long ago. "I miss being close to you, not just as mother and son, but truly close, talking, sharing. I miss knowing you." He swallowed hard. "I miss it too." Silence stretched between us, warm this time, not awkward. The paused TV screen displayed 2 actors gazing into the distance, but for us, everything was unfolding right here. He took a slow breath. "Can I tell you something, too?" "Of course," I said softly. He hesitated, then confessed. "I didn't move back home just because I needed time to figure things out. I mean, that's part of it, but not the whole truth." My heart quickened. "What do you mean?" He looked almost embarrassed. "I missed you. I missed the house. I missed coming home and knowing someone cared if I walked through the door. In college, I felt like everyone was pretending to be confident, pretending they didn't need anyone. I got tired of pretending too." Something sharp and sweet twisted inside me. "Why didn't you tell me that before?" He shrugged. "I didn't want to seem weak." "You're not weak," I stated firmly. "You're human." For a second, his expression suggested that mattered more to him than words could convey. We remained like that for a while, quiet, breathing the same air, sharing an unspoken understanding. Then he reached for the remote, but didn't press play just yet. "Mom, can I ask you one more thing?" I nodded. "Go ahead." "That moment earlier when you thought I meant the other meaning of stream chill, He rubbed the back of his neck. Did it just embarrass you, or did it, I don't know, remind you of something you miss? I stared at him, caught off guard by the profound honesty of the question. It reminded me, I said slowly, that I haven't felt desired in a long time, and that I used to enjoy being seen, not just as a mum, not just as a divorced woman, but as someone worth spending time with. He nodded once, slowly, as if meticulously absorbing each word. I get that, he said. More than you think. You do? I asked quietly. Yeah. He offered a small smile, one corner of his mouth lifting. It's odd how adults think only teenagers or 20-somethings feel lonely or confused. We all feel that way, even me, even you. That simple truth articulated with such clarity made my eyes sting. Daniel, I whispered, you're growing into a man who understands things I didn't at your age. And you're a woman who forgets she's allowed to start living again, he replied softly. I hadn't realized a tear had escaped until he reached out slowly, gently, and brushed it away with the back of his knuckle. The touch was light, cautious, almost reverent, as if he feared I would recoil, but I didn't. His hand lingered for just a moment too long. Or perhaps it wasn't too long at all. Perhaps it was precisely the amount of time it took for something dormant within me to stir, something buried beneath years of routine and quiet heartache. I'm sorry, he murmured, withdrawing his hand slightly. I didn't mean to. It's okay, I said, my voice low but steady. Truly, it's okay. He exhaled shakily as if he'd been holding his breath. I just wanted you to know you're not alone, he said. I know, I whispered, and that means more than you think. He nodded again, then looked at the TV screen. Should we keep watching? Let's try, I said. This time, when he leaned back, he didn't sit stiffly. He relaxed, truly relaxed, letting his shoulder brush mine, not by accident, not with hesitation. I felt the weight of him, the warmth, not inappropriate, not confusing, but profoundly human. Two individuals who had been drifting apart, finally allowing themselves to drift back together in a way families sometimes forget they can. The movie resumed, filling the room with soft, flickering light. But honestly, neither of us truly watched much of it. Our breathing synchronized without our conscious effort. The bowl of popcorn remained untouched on the coffee table. Every now and then one of us would speak, a quiet sentence, a small confession, a shared memory. We talked about his childhood, about how strong I used to be, about the nights I stayed up helping him with school projects, about how adrift he'd felt at university, about how lost I'd been after the divorce. It no longer felt like a movie night. It felt like a healing, like allowing something fractured within each of us to breathe again. At one point, without thinking, he pulled the blanket over both of us. Not a dramatic gesture, just a simple, instinctive, gentle act. Our legs were close, our shoulders touched, and neither of us moved away. Not because of anything romantic, not because of anything forbidden, but because for the first time in years, the distance between us, emotional rather than physical, had finally dissolved. Halfway through the film, he spoke again, his voice barely above a whisper. Mom? Yes. Do you ever think life gives people second chances in ways they don't expect? I turned towards him. Yes, I said. I think it happens exactly when we need it most. He looked down at his hands, then at me, and something in his eyes softened in a way I hadn't seen since he was a little boy. Maybe this is ours, he said. The room was quiet. The movie continued its silent narrative. Outside, the night deepened, but inside that small living room, something new, something fragile, warm, and honest began to take root. And I realized this night wasn't about a misconstrued text or a simple misunderstanding. It was about rediscovering each other. It was about truly seeing each other again. And maybe, just maybe, it was about opening the door to a future where neither of us had to pretend anymore. As the movie drew to a close, the credits rolling up the screen, a comfortable silence settled between us, punctuated only by the low hum of the television and the soft ticking of the old grandfather clock in the hall. The air felt charged, not with tension, but with a newfound intimacy, a fragile understanding that had blossomed from a simple, awkward text message. Daniel didn't jump up the moment the film ended, as he usually would. He remained beside me, our shoulders still brushing, the blanket still draped over both of us. That was unexpected, he finally said, his voice quiet. Indeed, I replied, a small smile playing on my lips. But in a good way, I think. He nodded, turning his head to look at me, his eyes reflecting the lingering blue light of the screen. Yeah, definitely in a good way. He paused, then took a deep breath. You know, Mom, I think I actually feel lighter. Me too, sweetheart, I confessed, my voice thick with emotion. Much lighter. We sat for a few more minutes, simply existing in that shared space, the unspoken words between us as significant as any we'd uttered. It wasn't a grand declaration, nor a definitive solution to all our individual struggles. But it was a beginning, a quiet, unassuming step onto a new path where honesty was encouraged, and vulnerability embraced. Finally, Daniel stretched, a long, languid movement. Well, he said, pushing the blanket back slightly, I guess stream chill can be a pretty powerful thing after all. He chuckled softly, a genuine sound of amusement. I reached out and gently squeezed his arm. It certainly can, my dear, especially when it opens the door to truly seeing each other. He stood up, stretching once more, then looked down at me, his earlier shyness replaced by a calm affection. Good night, Mom. Good night, Daniel. As he walked towards his room, I watched him, a profound sense of warmth spreading through me. He paused at his door, then turned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. Hey, Mom? Yes? Tomorrow night, same time? Maybe just, a regular stream chill? He offered a hesitant smile. A genuine smile bloomed on my face. I'd like that very much, Daniel. Very much indeed. He nodded, a sense of quiet relief in his eyes, and then disappeared into his room, closing the door softly behind him. I remained on the couch for a long time, the empty popcorn bowl beside me, the residual warmth of his presence still comforting. The house still echoed, but now the echoes felt different, less like lingering memories and more like the promise of future conversations. The quiet hallway of my life no longer felt empty, but simply paused, waiting for the next honest exchange, the next shared moment, the next step in a journey of two souls rediscovering their connection, one unassuming stream chill at a time. I realized in that serene quiet that sometimes the most profound changes begin with the simplest of invitations, leading you not to where you expected, but exactly where you needed to be.